Hello and welcome to another episode of Fine Arts with Besim. As you guys can recall, I'm painting Madonna of the Streets by artist Robert Ferruzzi. And we left off on St. Mary's face, so I'm just going to get back to that. I'm going to start her lip. And so, again, I'll take my handy pointy brush and just very faintly outline the lip. An interesting fact on this artist, in the late 19th century, he exhibited this painting. I think it was in France, but when he exhibited the painting, he didn't originally make it religious. It was actually the people that perceived it that turned it into St. Mary as we know it today. Always fun to read about artists' lives. I'm just outlining it with burnt sienna. I believe it got really good reviews when it first came out. Of course, at the time, it was the Impressionist era. People like Monet and Manet and Degas, all these very popular painters today. Robert Ferruzzi, of course, is not as popular, but I sure think that he's definitely as skilled. More interesting information, the painting is actually missing today, so you can't just go to an art gallery and see it. People think it's been missing on when it was going to the States, to the United States, to be exhibited. On the way, it went missing. So I colored the lips in pink, which is one of the components of the skin tone. It's called the flesh tint. And I'm going to put a little bit of this bright red. Of course, lips aren't always pure red. They're mixtures of colors. Just enough to give it some color here. And later, of course, when it dries, you can go in with some highlights. And mix the red with the burnt sienna. And a little bit of white, just so it's not too dark. And most of the time, the upper lip is a little bit darker than the lower lip, because the lower lip is facing upwards a little more, so it catches a lot more of the lighting in the atmosphere. And of course, the upper lip is the opposite. That for now. I'm going to use the same brush to do some detail around the mouth. There's these corners here that we can't really reach with any other brush. I'm using this brush to shade. literally in lines because it's so tiny, it doesn't cover a large surface. So this is more or less a drawing technique. Hatching, cross-hatching. And doing highlights using the same brush. Just pure white on my on the bristles on the brush, because I know that when you put a color down on top of another color, it'll always mix. So you always have to keep that in mind, and if you want to make it a little bit lighter than how you want it to appear on the board, then you put extra white, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. So the white should mix with the prior color. Okay, and I will move down to the chin area. Of course, it's always darker under the lip, because the lip casts a shadow on the chin. So there's this area. Okay, now I'm going to use this tiny brush. Okay, I'm just poking at the white here. I have very little, not too little I guess, on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to do that glare in the eye that I told you guys about. So that's just to make the eye look really 3D and pop out. One of my favorite things to do, just makes the eye just pop out. Okay, great. So baby Jesus has light hair. But what we'll do is we're going to color it in, and then we're going to go in with all the blonde highlights. I'm going to put some lighter color in here for now. Just cleaning my brush, my angled brush. And then babies are generally lighter skin, so I'm going to add white to my flesh colors, and I'm going to start at the forehead here. And there's this very nice contrast between St. Mary's chin and baby Jesus' forehead. I'm sure everyone knows that the more contrast, the nicer. Doesn't mean that you should put black and white, but it's always nice to have a very strong contrast. Just makes the picture more interesting. In a way, I'm kind of outlining St. Mary's chin. You can look at it that way. And with babies, they're also a little more rosy. So we're going to add a little bit more pink than St. Mary. Pinks here. So for a painting like this, usually the artist would actually use a model. So he had probably a young lady with her baby. A lot of the times it would be maybe his wife or maybe his a family member. But other times they would actually hire the model to stand there for long periods of time. Now I hope you guys remember why we start from the top and make our way down. Probably guessed it, it's because we always want to keep our hand on the canvas. Don't push too hard because the canvas can stretch and lose its elasticity, but you gain more control when you have your hand on something resting. This brush is actually a size 2, but they go all the way down to size 0. I'm going to, again, lightly outline baby Jesus's eyes. It's all eyelashes. Of course, he's sleeping. Of course, it doesn't have to be the finalized color or anything. And I'm just putting in the eyebrows. Also very, very light. Babies don't have very thick hair in general, of course. All this outlining, I'm using the burnt sienna, not the very dark brown, because of course that would make it thicker hair, thicker and darker hair. So babies are very, very light. Outlining the nose. If you find it difficult painting babies, rest assured we're on the same boat. Of course, that makes it a lot more runny, and that way it becomes easier for me to outline. Well, just about done outlining most of the baby, of the face, sorry. Okay, so at this point we've mapped out most of the face. Okay, so I outlined it, and I think I'll leave it at that for now. That way for next time I can just start painting actual colors, the way I started the top of the forehead there. At this point it looks like this, okay? And next time we'll start painting the face. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you guys next time.